A house can look solid while the foundation is already cracking. From the street, it's just another quiet Flagstaff home. But behind those walls, something was bleeding out slowly: money, trust, and an entire family system built to protect one person at the center. Viewers saw the surface drama, the anger, the distancing, the wives drifting away one by one. What we didn't see was the pattern forming underneath: how resources stopped being shared, how risk was quietly transferred, and how
And I was
family
smiling through
decisions
the entire
began
thing.
benefiting a single household while others were left exposed. This wasn't chaos. It was consolidation. One side lost security. One side gained control. And when the money ran dry, the solution wasn't sacrifice. It was debt labeled as an emergency, locked to a house that could outlive the family itself. Because when financial pressure meets power imbalance, the damage doesn't end with a season. It follows the children. It rewrites legacies. And it leaves victims paying for decisions they never agreed to. Stay with me, because tonight we're walking through the paper trail, the timelines, and the evidence that shows this wasn't a collapse. It was a strategy. In the quiet, high-altitude air of Flagstaff, Arizona, a legacy is being dismantled. For nearly 2 decades, Kody Brown managed the impossible, a complex, 4-way emotional and financial ecosystem that kept his family afloat. But today, the wives are gone. The children have grown. And all that remains of the Brown family empire is a sprawling, million-dollar home and a mountain of mounting debt. December 2025. While the world was celebrating the holidays, Kody and Robyn Brown were signing their names to a document that many experts call a financial emergency brake. A $750,000 home equity line of credit. It's a massive gamble on a house they only recently moved into. Is this a strategic business move, or is it the final, desperate gasp of a couple staring down the barrel of total bankruptcy? The ghosts of Coyote Pass. To understand where the money is going, we have to look at where it came from. For years, the Sister Wives Family Fund, often referred to by fans as the family pot, was the engine that drove their lifestyle. But as Christine, Janelle, and Meri walked away, they didn't just take their hearts with them. They took their credit scores. Research segment: technical, legal, historical reference. In April 2025, the infamous Coyote Pass land finally sold for $1.5 million. The split records indicate Kody and Robyn walked away with roughly $750,000, while Janelle and Meri split the remaining half. The conflict: Meri Brown recently went on record, alleging Kody and Robyn attempted to force an NDA on her during the sale, a move many fans interpreted as an attempt to silence her about where the family money actually went. If they just pocketed $750,000 from a land sale, why would they need to borrow another $750,000 against their new home just months later? Coming up, we look at the secret spending habits that even the TLC cameras weren't allowed to film. Is Robyn's shopping addiction a fan myth, or a documented financial liability? Anatomy of a spending spree. The community on Reddit and Facebook has been tracking the Brown inventory for years. From $30,000 in credit card debt that Robyn reportedly brought into the marriage, under 3 different last names, to the recent sightings of luxury SUVs, the math simply isn't adding up. Fan analysis: Reddit, YouTube. He doesn't have money to fulfill his obligations to Janelle or Meri, One top-voted Reddit comment reads, "He has money for Robyn. It's a scarcity mindset masquerading as wealth." Industry insiders note that the TLC paycheck, once a steady $300,000 to $400,000 per year, is no longer being split 5 ways. However, with the show's future uncertain and the OG3 wives no longer contributing their business earnings to the pot, Kody and Robyn are facing a lifestyle cliff. Legal depth. A HELOC, home equity line of credit, isn't inherently a sign of bankruptcy. It's a tool. But when you take one out for nearly the full value of your equity in a volatile market, you aren't leveraging anymore. You're surviving. The legal storm front. The $750,000 loan may not be for cars or precious moments, figurines. It might be for a war chest. Research segment. Meri and Janelle Brown have spent the better part of 2024 and 2025 consulting with legal counsel. The core of their dispute. The family account. For years, Janelle was the bookkeeper. She knows where every cent went. If Janelle or Meri file for a formal accounting of family funds, Kody could be looking at a multi-million-dollar repayment demand. Could a spiritual divorce lead to a very real, very expensive courtroom drama? We investigate the NDA scandal that almost broke the Coyote Pass sale. The psychology of the last wife standing. Robyn Brown has often been portrayed as the villain of the sister wives saga. But in a documentary sense, she is a case study in The Gilded Cage. She got the man, the house, and the legal marriage, but she also inherited the debt, the public scrutiny, and a husband who admits he is in a dark place. Robyn has recently hinted that the financial strain is causing cracks in their relationship. She allegedly threatened divorce over real estate fraud concerns. If the one wife who stayed decides to leave, Kody doesn't just lose a partner. He loses his legal shield. Community reaction. YouTube creator Without a Crystal Ball and others have pointed out that Kody's history of shell game, finances, moving names on and off deeds, has finally caught up with him. He no longer has other wives to shuffle the debt to. The final verdict: are they bankrupt? Technically, no. Kody and Robyn Brown still hold significant assets. Their Flagstaff home is valued at over $1.6 million. They have high-value personal property. But cash poor is a different story. Technical analysis. Debt-to-income ratio. With the $750,000 loan, plus their primary mortgage, their monthly carrying costs likely exceed $10,000. The TLC factor. Without a season 20 or a spin-off, their income drops to near zero. Liquidity. Taking a loan of this size suggests they have no liquid cash left. In the world of high-stakes reality TV, perception is everything. Kody needs to look successful to stay relevant. But the paperwork tells a story of a man who is borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, and Paul is a debt collector who doesn't care about sacred covenants. Kody Brown once said he wanted to build a monument to his legacy on this land. Instead, he sold it to pay for a life he can barely afford in a house that feels more like a fortress than a home. The $750,000 emergency loan isn't just a financial transaction. It's a symptom. It's the sound of the clock ticking down on a family that spent 20 years trying to prove they could have it all, only to realize that in the end, they might be left with nothing but the interest payments. For years, viewers of Sister Wives were told one consistent story. That despite emotional chaos, despite divorces, despite separations, the family was financially stable. They had TLC money, book deals, paid appearances, multiple streams of income. So when property records quietly revealed that Kody Brown and Robyn Brown had taken out an extra loan approaching $750,000, fans noticed immediately. And the wording caught everyone's attention. Not a refinance, not a remodel loan, an emergency loan. If this was an emergency, why didn't the cameras ever show it? To understand the loan, you have to understand the machine behind the family. When Sister Wives premiered in 2010 on TLC, the Browns were marketed as unconventional, but united. At its peak, industry estimates placed the family's per-episode earnings between $25,000 and $40,000 total, later renegotiated downward as ratings declined. Crucially, the money was not evenly distributed. It was paid to a family LLC, then divided. And over time, that division fractured. What happens when shared income meets separated lives? By the time the Browns relocated from Las Vegas to Flagstaff in 2018, the family was no longer functioning as one unit. Christine would later leave. Janelle would separate financially. Meri was already emotionally distant. But one household remained fully intact. Kody and Robyn's. Their Flagstaff home, purchased for over $890,000, came with a large mortgage, high property taxes, significant maintenance costs, and importantly, only 2 full-time adult earners remained in that household. So why keep spending like there were still 4 incomes? Public records show that Kody and Robyn took out a secondary loan secured against the home. The amount, approximately $750,000. The structure, not a standard refinance. The timing, after income instability became obvious. Financial analysts who reviewed similar filings describe this kind of loan as high risk, high interest, usually used when liquidity is low. In plain terms, it's the kind of loan people take when cash flow is gone, but assets remain. That's not bankruptcy, but it's often what comes right before it. Legally, the word emergency has no strict mortgage definition. But lenders typically apply it when funds are needed to prevent foreclosure, cover outstanding debts, pay off tax obligations, consolidate overdue liabilities. Not vacations, not upgrades, not lifestyle spending. Which raises a quiet question. What bills were due that couldn't wait? Longtime viewers now point to moments that feel different in hindsight. Scenes where Robyn worried about housing security. Kody expressing anxiety about losing control. Repeated conversations about land payments on Coyote Pass. At the time, it sounded emotional. Now it sounds financial. Was the stress we were seeing actually about money all along? Once the loan details surfaced, online communities reacted immediately. On Reddit, one highly upvoted comment read, "This explains everything. The control, the anger, the desperation, it's not just emotional. It's financial." On Facebook fan groups, users questioned, "How do you make TV money for 13 years and still need an emergency loan?" On YouTube, creators pointed out the irony. They told the wives to live frugally while one household accumulated the risk. The reaction wasn't just gossip. It was analysis. And many fans came to the same conclusion independently. Here's the legal reality. No bankruptcy filing has been made public. That matters. But financial experts note, bankruptcy doesn't begin with court paperwork. It begins with behavior. Emergency loans, asset-backed borrowing, reduced transparency, heightened emotional volatility, all visible. So if not bankrupt, how close are they? If you believe reality TV hides more than it shows, like this video so this investigation reaches the people who've been asking the same questions. Comment below with what you noticed before the cracks became obvious. Your insight matters here. Subscribe to stay inside this ongoing breakdown, and watch the playlist linked next to see how this pattern started years before anyone said the word emergency.